Welcome to Flow Yoga and Cycle. My name is Peter, and I'm here in the studio today to help you out with headstand. So let's get started. Headstand is a pose that we usually do near the end of class. It's a cooling pose, so it's it's the opposite of a warm-up. It's something that we do at the end. We get all that energy that's built up in our legs that have been working so hard and let it flow back into your torso and up into your brain. So it's something that is, it's not something that, it's a hard pose, it's a balancing pose, but it's not something that requires a ton of muscle. It requires core strength, but it's not like doing a chair pose or any other sort of squat, anything that requires a ton of flexibility. It's really about finding that balance and that focus, and then not thinking about any external stimuli so that your body can start to cool down. So let's take a look at how we get there. There are multiple hand variations, but there's two main ones. Both of them involve creating a triangle, using your head and either your hands or your forearms. So what I do is I want to make sure you're on your top of your head, the crown of your head, not the forehead or anywhere up here, and not back up here, right on the top of the head. Sometimes the ground can be a little bit hard, so it's nice to practice with an extra towel or blanket. This one right here is folded up quite a bit. I would say you don't need it up that much, but maybe sort of like fold it over two to four folds, something like that. This is going to make it just a little bit softer. In addition to making it a little bit easier on our head, it's also going to make it a little bit easier to balance because it's a little softer. It's going to be sort of cradling our head. So I'm going to put my head up here. I'm going to put my hands down here. In most of the standing poses, we talk about pulling the shoulders back and down. When we're upside down, though, we flip that around. So we want to take our shoulder blades wide, and getting the shoulder blades wide help us push into our hands and take that energy from the floor all the way up into our feet. So I'm going to put my head down here, and then I want to make a triangle, an equilateral triangle here. Hands down here, about shoulder width apart. We should be able to see them a little bit, but they shouldn't be up here, and they shouldn't be so far away that they're not supporting us. We want to have about a 90-degree angle in our elbows. So I'm going to put my head down. I can see both of my hands. I don't want to turn my head much, if at all. So we can use our eyes, but we don't want to turn the head when we're upside down and we're putting that sort of weight on our heads because that's pretty dangerous. Head down, hips up. If this is where we are today, and that's where you are, that's great. We want to start to take the hips forward until they're over our shoulders. And then it's going to start to get light. When your feet start to get light, it gets scary. One thing you can do at home if you're trying this and you're not super comfortable with it yet is you can practice against a wall. I'd say maybe like 6 inches to a foot off the wall, somewhere in there. That's going to give you can push your foot there. It's going to give you a little bit more confidence. And then as you get more comfortable with the pose, you can start to take it off the wall and into the middle of the room. So again, hands down, head down, top of the head. I can see both hands. 90-degree bend right here. Hips high. Step one, I would say, is taking an elbow to a knee, or vice versa. Going both feet, or opposite, and then both feet up. This is tripod pose, and it's a good place to start. Starts to get you comfortable being upside down. Next up, we can take a foot high, and then start to lift the bottom leg. We're keeping our hips square. We're not trying to twist here. We'll fall out. Everything square with the elbows and the shoulders. And then maybe switch the feet. Maybe just a toe down. And then eventually both feet begin to come up. Shoulder blades away from one another, moving towards our toes or the back of our mat. Hands pressing down nice and tight. And then eventually coming down with control. The other option that's also pretty common is where we take our fingers and we grab the back of our head. Some people put one pinky underneath the other one. Some people put the two pinkies in line like this. It's really up to you. Wherever you are, you're pulling really tight on the back of the head. That helps, again, get those shoulder blades wide. Head down, grabbing the back of the head. Shoulders come away from one another. We can see the elbows. This one, I think, feels more comfortable. The reason that I don't do it first, though, is because you don't have those elbows to get the knees on to practice. But I feel a little bit more stable here. I can lift one leg. I can lift the opposite leg. I can lift both legs. I lift my shoulders away from my ears, creating space, and then I press my elbows back into the earth, and I'm pulling really tight on my hands. I keep my feet together, and I'm engaged through the legs. My legs aren't loose and floppy. They're pointed up towards the sky. My belly's engaged nice and tight. And if you're feeling comfortable here, you can start to bring the feet down together. Hips move back towards the top of the mat. And eventually coming all the way down. And before you do anything else, I recommend a child's pose. So that's it for headstand. Check out all the other videos here on the Flow website. We've got lots of great instructions from a lot of great MCs, and hope to see you again soon.